Here we go again. Another intellectual movement to combat the anti-intellectualism that's happening. And so we're going to talk about what that movement is today, if it's even going to work, and then like what what can authors actually learn from it? What can writers actually learn from it? And how is this connected and applicable to culture and what's happening in the world? Because really, if we're not connected to culture and if we're not understanding culture, like y'all probably heard me say this again, like it becomes very difficult um, for us writers to gain any forward momentum. So this is Karen Carter for everyone here that's new. I run Writers Are Superstars. I'm the founder of that newsletter, but I also, in addition to just writing it, once in a while I'll jump on here and just shoot a video and talk through things. And when I'm talking through things, it's usually because I don't have a full, like I haven't come to any conclusions yet. I'm still in the question phase and I'm still trying to figure it out. So for me, when I'm figuring things out, I talk them out. When I'm closer to a solution or closer to a complete thought, I should say, maybe not even a solution, but when I'm closer to a complete thought, I write. So here we are, new intellectual movement, which is create your own curriculum. I don't know if y'all have seen this happening, but essentially what's going on is people are deciding to get off of social and create their own curriculums based on a subject matter that they're super interested in. So the one that I saw most recently was someone was interested in I believe Chinese culture, Chinese history. So they took out 4 books and they are just going to read those books to educate themselves. So they're self-educating so they can be more familiar with Chinese history. My first thought about this is it's interesting to me that we need to come up with new terms and new positioning for learning, because essentially what this intellectual movement is learning. You're learning, right? You're teaching yourself something that you did not know before. You're making yourself familiar with something you didn't know before. So it's learning. You're learning, and I'm okay with it. I'm more than okay with it. I'm happy that we're combating anti-intellectualism in any way that we can. It's just really again, it's what the lesson is, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, is that we're repackaging all these forms of education into a way that is just more palatable for, or more accessible for, the masses. So to give yourself a curriculum is more accessible than saying go read the classics, or more accessible than saying go take a course on XYZ. Like when you say go take a course on XYZ, it feels, for whatever reason, it doesn't have the same kind of cultural connection as it does when you say, hey, I am going to create my own curriculum, right? So the positioning of it is really what's happening here, because it's not like, obviously learning is not new, obviously curriculum is not new, homeschooling is not new. Like these are all the terms that we can use that have been already defined, but it's not new. But the positioning of it is new. This is the lessons that we can start learning from, right? Like as authors, as writers, it's a lot of the times it's not even about the actual story. Once you actually have the story written, once you actually have that thing out, once you're actually out yourself being public to the world, it's not always, or it's not simply about the story. That's only part of it. It's not simply about the writing. That's not part of it. It's not simply about what you have to offer. That's just part of it. It's about your positioning. How are you positioning yourself? How are you putting yourself out? How are you showing yourself to the world so that they could understand what you're trying to accomplish, or understand what you're trying to say, or understand the story that you're trying to tell? Because trust me, the story is not new. Like, just like, create your own curriculum is not new, the story is not. These things are not new. So I think authors truly don't put enough attention, or sometimes don't even understand the concept, the complexity of positioning, or the importance of positioning in the market. For example, I'll use one of my examples, then I'll talk about whether or not this is going to work, because combating anti-intellectualism is actually like super important. We're at a phase now where it's like, if we're just like, open your eyes and look what's happening around in the world. we're at a phase now where we really need to really need to be able to think critically about everything that's happening and reach our own conclusions, not collective conclusions, right? It's far easier to just accept groupthink and to say yes or no to what everyone else around you is saying. It's far easier to do that than to actually step out and think for yourself. But when you think for yourself, you reach conclusions for yourself that might be better, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. I'll give you an example. When Substack just announced that they're dropping Substack TV, right? Every writer was against it. 99% of the writers were against it, myself included. At first I was like, man, this is like, it doesn't seem like Substack is hearing what we want. It's not making any sense. Why isn't it something more closely connected to publishing? Why are they putting out letting us actually publish on Substack and put out magazines and books and et cetera, right? Like, all the writers were saying that. And part of me is still on that, like Substack should be, at least I think they should be doing some part of that. Then though, one writer, August Woods, and I gotta shout you out, August, you're one of my favorites. August, she's someone who, she follows my newsletter, I follow her stuff, and she, as I posted this, and I posted my response to Substack TV, she came out and she said, you know what, I know most writers don't like this, but here's how it could be beneficial. And she went on to explain how with the upending of local media, she works in public TV, so with the upending of local media, Substack TV offers the opportunity for writers or people who want to actually experience media, engage with media, to start building up local TV again in a way that could be meaningful and profitable for the individual, or if they want to build out a larger company, but for the individual, so that people start getting local news again. You know what I'm saying? And they could just pay directly for it, because essentially, like public news before, right? It's public, so maybe it's coming from taxes or whatever the situation is. If it's local news, it's not coming from there, it's a private company, it's coming from advertising, etc. But this is a different model. This is an opportunity for a completely different model, or a fairly different model, where again, Substack gives you the opportunity now, or presents the opportunity for authors or writers or people engaging in media to present local media in a way that could be not just like accurate and necessary, because local media is dying or has died, but then it could be profitable. When August said that, I was like, oh, this is an actual opportunity. So August could have very, very easily just been like, go along with the crowd, right? Like, she's a writer. Forget this. Substack doesn't hear us, etc., etc. That would have been very easy, but she had a perspective that most of us did not have, and she shared that perspective, and now she's actually changed my mind on that, right? I don't think it's an either or thing. I do think Substack could be a little bit more geared towards the actual writing community in a lot of ways. That said, what August said was really, really true, and it stuck with me, and it changed my mind. It gave me a different perspective on why Substack would do something like that. So that is an example of just like being able to reach your own conclusion through critical thinking. And we're not going to get there if we are not educating ourselves, learning ourselves, if we're not giving ourselves curriculums, you know what I'm saying? Like giving ourselves curriculums, so that we could get to a point where we could formulate our own thoughts again. And then we need to be able to teach that to these generations coming up. We need to be examples, because I'm in schools a lot. I speak to high school teachers a lot. I'm in the universities a lot. It's an issue. It's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So we really need to start, like, how do we let this drip down? How do we let this intellectual movement drip down to the generations that are really in need of it? Because if we're giving ourselves curriculums, it means that we're already curious. We're already at a stage where we're like, okay, we know we need to learn more, or we know we need to unlearn some things. How do we get there? And then we pick up the book, right? This is why I'm so happy about what Kai Cenat is doing, because Kai Cenat is telling his followers now, he's 24 years old, so the people who are following him are going to be younger, and for the most part. So, and him reading in public on his streaming platform to millions of people for 20 to 30 minutes a day is encouraging. There are going to be people, when you have that many followers, some of them are going to say, you know what, I want to do that. I want to pick up a book. I want to learn. I want to read more. so I can better articulate myself, because that's what Kai said. He said he wants to read, and if you don't know Kai Cenat, he's a famous, a really popular streamer. But that's what he said. He said he wants to read. He wants to read more so he can better articulate himself. Because when he was in rooms and trying to talk to people about his ideas, the way he was articulating himself wasn't coming out the way that he wanted it to, and he felt like people weren't taking him seriously. This is what reading does. This is what being, and intellectuals, I guess could be an odd word, but this is what intellectualizing yourself does. It allows you to start thinking better. It allows you to start communicating better. It allows you to articulate your thoughts better. It allows you to have better thoughts. It allows you to have empathy, right? Like we need to go there. So is it working? This new intellectual movement is giving yourself a curriculum or creating your own curriculum, something that is working or can work. Well, yeah. I mean, well, the jury's out. We'll see. Trends come and go in this era that we're in right now. But it's only going to work if we're going to make it work. If this becomes something that is more than just a pop-up shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is something that we can figure out how to connect. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's not even our job to figure out if it connects. If it connects, it connects. If it connects, it means that people are getting something out of it. If it doesn't connect, it means that people are not. And again, to me, it needs to connect not just with people who are already curious. It needs to connect with the people who don't even understand that they should be doing this, who don't understand that they should be reading more, who don't understand that they need to actively combat anti-intellectualism in a digital era where it's already proven now that this era being digitalized, being completely online, has actually decreased our first of all happiness, our intellect. There's a whole study out now where this is the first generation, Gen Z is the first generation that intellectually is not comparable to the generation before them, right? In every single intellectual facet. It's the first time since we've been recording that. So we need to those are the people, and not just Gen Z, but other people are my age. I'm a millennial, Gen Xers, boomers, like anyone who is not on the train of intellectualism, meaning like not on the train of better understanding themselves and better understanding the world around them. Like whoever's not on that train, this is who that needs to speak to, like this, and the people who have a little bit of curiosity already. It's things starting to look around the world and seeing all these things that are happening and being like, you know what, something feels off. Something feels like this. It shouldn't be like this, right? Those are the people that really need to. We really need to be touching with this, and I'll end with this. I think it's really important that with everything that's happening in the world right now, I think this is going to sound strange, but I think it becomes more important that we start focusing on ourselves and the people who are close to us, who we can have an actual impact on. Because we have very little control about major decisions that are happening in the world. We actually have very little control over that. Big tech companies, politics, right? Like billionaires, like those people are making like huge decisions that we can affect to some degree, but with a lot of effort and collective effort. I'm talking about, think about yourself, how you can. So this is why I like this intellectual movement, the give yourself a curriculum movement, because that's starting with yourself. Once you start with yourself, now you can go to your friend, now you can go to your partner, now you could go to the people in your network, now you could go out to your newsletter network, now you could go out to your writer friends, now, right? Like, just think about yourself and the people around you and how they are affected and how you can affect them. Because it's, for me, I think the only way to a better world is through better people. That's my actual thought. I don't think we're going to get out of this unless people actually change at their core. And that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen if we just aren't better people, right? We're not going to be able to change to our core, or I shouldn't say it like that. We're not going to be able to change to our core unless we start becoming a lot more empathetic and questioning a lot more things that we're questioning right now, and then being able to find ways to act on the things that we're questioning. You know what I mean? Like, we should be able to act on the things that we're questioning, because again, like, some of these things just should not be happening, and they're happening because there are bad people in place. just flat out, and we need to just be better people. So that's it for me today. Again, I don't do these videos often, so it's fun when I do jump on here once in a while and do it. Maybe I'll start doing them more. Let me know what you think. But again, Current Carter, Writers Are Superstars. I'm an author. This is what I do. I write for a living, and I love it more than anything. So next time, enjoy. Thank you.